Hello there, this is Joy News Prime with me, Blessed Sugam. In this bulletin, lack of bed space at the only referral hospital in the Ashanti region, Komfo Anokye Teaching Hospital, affecting effective healthcare delivery. We have details, plus we seek answers from the authority.
They say they have called the ambulance service. They have called the ambulance to come and take her to Komfo Anokye. Komfo Anokye says there's no bed to accommodate my daughter.
Also, Education Committee in Parliament make frantic efforts to woo UTAG members to call off strike after hours of meeting. Ranking member on the committee says UTAG has agreed to call off the strike in principle, but with some conditions.
Came on behalf of their members, so they have to use the rest of the day to do consultations. So they have agreed to call off the strike, but on condition.
Well, we have details as UTAG says it has made no such commitment to the MPs. Also, intersex community in Ghana requests Parliament to strike out portions of the Proper Human Sexual Rights and Ghanaian Family Values Bill 2021 that criminalizes their activities. We are live on DSTV channel 421, GoTV channel 144. This is your home of independent, fearless, credible journalism. Stay for details. Well, tonight, Ranking Member on Parliament's Education Committee, Peter Nochukotue, says the University Teachers Association of Ghana has agreed to call off their strike in principle. This is, however, subject to some conditions, the same conditions that have kept UTAG on strike for close to 40 days. The committee and leadership of the association met in Parliament today for hours to try and find a solution to the impasse. UTAG is still on strike despite court orders directing them to return to work, with the association arguing they are reviewing the court ruling. First, listen to the ranking member on the Parliament Committee, Peter Nochukotue.
You are aware that the UTAG strike has been on for 5 weeks now, and everybody is worried about its protracted nature. Last week, the Speaker instructed the Committee on Education to meet with UTAG and see how best we can resolve the matter. So we invited them, and they came. The Minister for Employment and Labour Relations was also there, Fair Wages and Salaries Commission also there, as well as the Minister for Education. The government delegation was led by the Minister for Employment. We listened to both sides, and we realized that there are still a number of outstanding issues to be resolved. Although they had agreed on a number of allowances, we as a committee felt that it did not cover all the lecturers who are members of UTAG. So it should go back and negotiate some allowances for other or ordinary lecturers, especially those who have only the PhD, who are not heads of department, who are not deans or faculties. Yeah, so they should go and look at that and then make sure that they get some allowances for them. We also realize that the main issue at stake is the interim market premium. Yeah, we got information, there's a document that the interim market premium was frozen in 2013. And by the information, no single institution can negotiate outside the interim market premium. So it is difficult to pick UTAG out. So we've instructed the Minister for Employment that they should go back and look at it. Once they have conducted a labor market survey, they can do it so that all other workers can be part of it, not UTAG alone. So at the end of it all, we appeal to UTAG to call off the strike. And in principle, they have agreed.
No, they've agreed to call it.
In principle, I want to say in principle, because they came on behalf of their members. So they have to use the rest of the day to do consultations. So they have agreed to call off the strike, but on condition that the government will be committed to whatever they have remaining on the table so that they can sit as quickly as possible to resolve the matter. So we have given the two sides 1 week from the day that the strike action will be called off to report back to the committee on what agreement they have reached. So far, that is what...
I see. And when is UTAG expected to return to the lecture halls? Because that has been the concern now. Did they tell you that they're calling off today, tomorrow they return, or probably Monday?
Yeah, today being Thursday, tomorrow Friday, the week is gone. We expect that if they don't announce a call-off by the close of the day, tomorrow they should do so. So that Monday we expect them back into the lecture halls.
Are you confident that the minister or the government will be able to resolve the outstanding issues with UTAG for UTAG to call off the strike, as you said, that in principle they have agreed to call off?
Yes, if you look at the manner in which they came into the meeting, the position that they had taken, I can tell you that at the end of the deliberations, everything got relaxed. And I'm sure that by their own commitment, they are hoping that once they have met the committee, they have that hope that the Ministry of Employment and Labor Relations will listen to the committee and engage them the more as quickly as possible. They even said that even if the meeting was to be held this night, they were ready for it.
Meanwhile, the Vice-Chancellor of the University of Health and Allied Sciences, Professor John Japon, says the strike of the University Teachers Association of Ghana, UTAG, is seriously impacting the running of universities. Speaking on PM Express Wednesday evening, Professor John Japon said the academic calendar, which has already been rocked by COVID, is nearing its elastic moment and may be thrown out of gear. He also said the quality of teaching may be affected.
Impact on our universities in general has been rather dire. As you alluded to earlier, we have been battling with trying to recover the time lost as a result of COVID. And we are not out of the woods yet. We were hoping that within a period of about 2 years, we would have been able to get our academic cycle back in shape. But with these disruptions, obviously, it is not in favor of that. So the academic calendar is still getting more and more challenged and probably getting to its elastic limit. So on the academic calendar front, that is what I can say, that it is not very good for us. And we're not even sure how we'll be able to recover the time, even if today or tomorrow UTAG were to call off the strike and were to get back into our normal academic work. It will take us a bit of time to be able to get back to our usual August to July academic year. Once we know what the way forward is, we will. There are processes for closing down the university. I mean, as Vice Chancellor, I cannot just get up and close down the university. I'll have to call an emergency council meeting and present the case why we should. And these days, because of Zoom and other electronic technologies, we are able to hold meetings at very short notice. Okay. And people don't have to travel all the way to Ho to make that decision. So just as I'm talking to you via Zoom, yeah. If we need to make that decision, we'll call an emergency meeting and make that decision.
Well, there's more in education because the National Association of Graduate Teachers is calling on the management of the Ghana Education Service and the Ministry of Education to stop being an obstacle in the path of teachers after giving them 2 weeks to address the issues of interference in professional structure and appointment of heads of schools, removal of teachers' names from payrolls, delaying payments of capitation grants. President of NAGRAT, Eric Carbono, disclosed that Ministry of Education cannot be doing the work of GES by appointing headmasters of schools.
This morning's press conference is on a number of issues, 4 main issues that worried the teachers within the Ghana Education Service. The first one is a draft letter that we have cited where the Ministry of Education was inviting personnel to apply for the position of headmasters and headmistresses in the newly established STEM schools. We are worried about this development because it is the Ghana Education Service, through its rules and regulations, that appoints headmasters and headmistresses. And before you are a headmaster or a headmistress, you have to attain a certain rank, and the rank is Deputy Director General of Education. You would have been a headmaster or a counselor, you would have taught for a number of years, you would have gone through the system so that you have some level of maturity and experience before you are appointed as headmaster or headmistress of a school. So we are calling on the ministry to rescind that decision and allow the Ghana Education Service to make the appointments. The second one is the knowledge we have about the removal of the names of a lot of teachers from the payroll by either their headmasters and their headmistresses, the circuit supervisors, regional directors, district directors, or anybody of holding office. Before a worker's salary is suspended, it means that the offense of the worker is a very grievous offense, and that the worker have been taken through the disciplinary procedures and have been found to have committed that offense. And it is the employer, in this case the Director General of the Ghana Education Service, who has the authority to do that. Unfortunately, officials at different levels could just write to Controller and Accountant General's Department for the deletion of names of teachers because the teachers have offended the GES in one way or the other. We think that this is unfortunate and that authorities should apply the sanctions in the Code of Conduct for offenses that teachers have engaged in. And we are calling on the Director General to write a letter to all office holders to desist from this act and to restore those whose names have been removed from the payroll and pay them their arrears. The third issue is the stressful situation we find ourselves in both basic schools and senior high schools. With the advent of free senior high school, the attention is shifted from basic schools to senior high schools. Meanwhile, for any educational system to stand the test of time, we need to look at the basic school of that educational system. The Bible itself says that show the child the way he should go and he will never grow to depart from it. It is our view that when we get our basic school right, we will get our educational issues right in this country. Capitation grant is in arrears for more than 2 terms for the basic schools. The capitation grant is the amount of money the headmasters and headmisters use for recurrent expenditure. If furniture is broken, if windows are broken, if doors are broken, the purchase of chalk, dusters, and all materials.
Well, let's now go back to our earlier story where Ranking Member on Parliament's Education Committee, Peter Anochukwu, says the University Teachers Association of Ghana has agreed to call off their strike in principle. This is, however, subject to some conditions, the same conditions that have kept UTAG on strike for close to 40 days. Joining us now is Dr. Bett Boadi Kusi, who is with the University of Cape Coast chapter of UTAG. He joins us on phone. First of all, sir, have you agreed to call off your strike?
Listen to the plea of the Select Committee on Education. And we told them that we were going to carry their plea to the National Executive Committee for deliberations. We informed them that we're going to have a meeting to discuss all these. We have processes within our association, how we communicate. And so basically, so far as I'm concerned, that is how the meeting ended. They took turns to plead with us, coming from the point of view of the labor law, coming from the point of view of what has gone on in court in the previous days, and of course, the point of view of students and parents. They are equally sympathize with lecturers on, of course, how worse we have become in terms of our salary. So we told them that, yes, we have heard their plea. We will convey same to the National Executive Committee in our discussions that we're going to have in the coming days.
After the decision of the courts earlier, about a day or two ago, you indicated that you were waiting to understand the full ruling of the court. Have you made a decision on what the next step will be?
We were supposed to have been served. I have not checked with the legal team. As I told the producer after the engagement with the select committee, I have been on my way heading towards Cape Coast. And so I have not been able to touch base with the legal team as to the state. But as at the morning when we checked, they have not received a full copy. So I cannot confirm that. But of course, we were waiting to have the legal counsel set so that we could take a decision on that. That has not happened to the best of my knowledge.
I'm grateful for your time. That's Dr. Bett Kusibwedu, who's with the University of Cape Coast chapter of the University Teachers Association of Ghana, UTAG. We'll give you some updates later. But now, the lack of bed space at Ashanti Region's only referral hospital with its attendant strain on health deliveries giving rise to concerns about progress of work in 5 major health facilities at various stages of completion in the regional facilities at the Komfo Anokye Teaching Hospital, Kumasi South and Mensah hospitals are overstretched, while stalled projects at Sewa, Afari, Konongo and Fomena could provide a total of about 1,850 bed space. The recent health death actually of a 7-month-old baby at Kath, of course due to the bed syndrome, has got residents questioning the slow pace of work on 3 health facilities. Love FM's Erastus Saridonko has more in the following report.
Little Efia Sika Opoku Jemfi had breathing problems and was referred to the Komfo Anokye Teaching Hospital from the Asukwa Children's Hospital. Her father, Francis Opoku Jemfi, says his daughter gasped heavily for breath every 30 seconds, even under oxygen, at his first port of call.
I couldn't stand the situation, so I was...
Health professionals at the Asukwa Hospital later informed Francis the Komfo Anokye Teaching Hospital lacked space to accommodate her sick daughter.
The way she was breathing and she'll be shouting, ah, at least every 30 seconds. Whoa. And I asked about the man in charge, the doctor or the PA or so. So, what are they doing? They say they have called the ambulance service. They have called the ambulance to come and take her to Komfo Anokye. Komfo Anokye says there's no bed to accommodate my daughter. So I should wait, or they should wait for next morning.
She died. Little Sika represents many who lost relatives due to lack of space and an overstretched single referral point for Ashanti region and beyond. Public Relations Officer for the Komfo Anokye Teaching Hospital, Kwame Frimpong, indicates the hospital's facilities are overstretched.
If you come to the National Emergency Center, for instance, the orange unit, which was supposed to be catered for 12 patients, we've added beds to the extent that at times you come and you see up to 56, 48, 52 patients in the space that was given to us for 12 patients. But until we are reached that point where we have complementary facilities to take some of the pressure off Komfo Anokye Teaching Hospital, there will be times that we will have exhausted our capacity and we will not be in the position to admit additional patients.
Perhaps the solution to providing a second, third or fourth alternative to healthcare in the Ashanti region lies in the completion of health projects at Sewa, Konongo, Fomena and Afari. Residents are worried about the current situation.
To build 111 hospitals now, whereby we have abandoned projects in the bush, I think we need to complete those things before we start new ones.
Works at these facilities are between 80 and 90% complete.
Closely, if invested about $500 million in these facilities.
Eugene Osei-Tutu is a fact checker.
When you take a military hospital, for example, the process was started during the twilight of President Kufuor's administration in November 2008. It's almost 14 years now, and it's not been completed. When you take Sewua, the land was handed over to the contractors, the Eurojet people, in 2015. So it was supposed to be completed in 20 months, so somewhere around 2017, but they stalled. Clearly, when you are coming back to such a facility, you need extra cash. So it means that you inject more money when it comes to some of these finances.
When completed, they could provide a total of 1,850 bed capacity to boost the Ashanti region's ailing health delivery drive. Reporting for Joy News, Erastus Asaredonko, Kumasi.
Well, let's stay a while longer on the story because we can now go on the phone lines and speak to ranking member on the Health Committee in Parliament, Kwabena Mintah Akando, who's joining us now. Honourable, a 7-month-old baby died because there was no bed when there are so many facilities, as we're learning from this report, that is abandoned. Until when will we deal completely and decisively with these issues?
Well, let me say good evening to your cherished, is that listeners or viewers? Viewers, right?
Yes.
Okay. I think that if you have followed, you have followed this story since I became the ranking member on the Parliamentary Select Committee on Health, that we have not relaxed and we will never relax until these projects have been completed, because it is the taxpayers' money that has been pumped into these projects. You know, I am not surprised about this story of lack of beds in the Ashanti region, i.e. Komfo-Anokye, because the main reason why these facilities were springing out in the Ashanti region was to ease the traffic in Komfo-Anokye. So, for example, we have an abandoned health facility at Kumawu. We have one at Fomena, which was about 85% complete since 2016. Okay, we have Afari Military Hospital. Okay, so if we had been able to complete Fomena, Afari, and Kumawu, that would obviously ease the tension at Komfo-Anokye. And don't forget that there is this expansion going on in even Komfo-Anokye there. That one was also reduced. The number of bed capacity that was supposed to be constructed was around 600 bed capacity. That was reduced to around 400 bed capacity. Because, and the reason that was given was as a result of these, facilities I have mentioned. Meanwhile, since 2016, the development on the various sites are just not the best. Okay, so we have done series of these site visits. We have spoken about it on the floor of the House, and still, the good people of this country are suffering as a result of abandoning these particular facilities. So for me, I knew these are going to be the consequences of abandoning these facilities. I knew it.
But we know that you were on a tour. We know that you were on a tour last year. What has come out of that tour? You went around the country touring some facilities. We have several tools available to us, and as members of Parliament, when we go on such tours, you either invite the minister responsible to come and answer questions, or you make statements and all that. We have invited the minister on several occasions to answer questions with that regard. To that regard, we also probe further when they appeared before the committee to defend their budget. And you see, sometimes, as leaders of this country, when issues are brought to the fore, you must, get worried as minister, as president, so that you respond positively and quickly to fix those situations. But if you have a president, if you have a minister that is not worried about the cry of the people, we have a problem at hand. We have a problem because we don't control the public purse to say that, okay, because I'm a member of Parliament, I've gone to the place and the place has been abandoned. This is money. I am going to complete the project. It's not done. You can't do it. But we are supposed to play what we call
oversight responsibility. Oversight, but if you have leaders who are insensitive to the plight of the people, you have a problem as a country. We have a problem as a country. We have relegated the health sector to the background to the sense that, I mean, as though it is not important. But I beg to differ that, look, the health sector is the most important sector as far as I'm concerned. But nothing seems to be going on right in the health sector. And still, we don't even have a minister in the health sector. So it's a worrying phenomenon. I think that people must speak. And this issue of politics every day in and out, the health of this country depends on our health network, the health infrastructure we have in this country. You go to a teaching hospital and MRI scanners, they don't even have. They don't even have. Yet we are talking plenty. We are not doing any action. That is the problem we have as a country.
As a committee in Parliament, what are you willing to do about this issue?
My brother, will you listen to me? I am saying that as a committee, what we can do, 1, to probe the minister, 2, to ask him questions, 3, to present our findings and debate on the floor of the House, and then give him advice or ultimatum or whatever. If he decides not to do it, what will you do? At the extreme, what you do is what we are doing at the moment. To file a motion to pass a vote of censure in him, that because he's incompetent. That's a worst case scenario. And that is exactly the point we have gotten to. Because as for that minister, I do not know why that minister is still at post. I don't know whether the NPP is short of people, competent people who can mind that ministry. Almost every day there's bad news in the health sector, and this man continues to be in office. Why? Why are we doing that to ourselves? You come and meet an infrastructure like the Formina District Hospital, right. More than 85% complete. And then 4-5 years down the line, you are still giving reasons why that particular project has not been completed. Don't you think that even if it is 85% complete and you leave it for 5 years, the infrastructure will be deteriorating? Go to Abetifi. Go and see Abetifi. What is going on at Abetifi? Now, even if we decide as a country to go back to Abetifi to continue the project there, you must pull down about 70% of the structures there before you can control. It's not causing financial loss to the state. What kind of country are we?
Akando, I'm grateful for your time.
I'm most grateful, my brother.
And now we can take you to Parliament. The intersex community in Ghana is requesting Parliament to strike out portions of the Proper Human Sexual Rights and Ghanaian Family Values Bill 2021 that criminalizes their activity.
Time for business. I'm Charles Aite. The failure of the Ghana Airports Company and the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority to honor financial obligation to the Meteorological Service has deprived the agency huge sums of money. At a short ceremony to inaugurate the newly reconstituted board of the GMA, the Minister for Communications and Digitalization charged the new board to chart a new path for both state agencies to honor the obligations in order to keep the agency in business.
The situation of non-payment of service charge to the Meteorological Agency has compelled it to seek government intervention and external funding to keep running. According to Minister for Communications and Digitalization, Esla Owusu-Ekufo, this has deprived the agency of needed resources to be able to embark on its plans. She charged the newly reconstituted 11-member board to find a lasting solution to the menace.
The amendment came on the back of a long period of disagreement between GMET and these two agencies over the payment for aeronautical meteorological services that GMET renders to both institutions, without which they cannot function, without which our airports cannot function. Despite the amendment, the two institutions have still not honored their obligations to GMET, making it difficult for the agency to secure the much-needed revenue for its operations. To be able to provide us with accurate forecasts and accurate meteorological information, they need up-to-date equipment and training for their staff, and they need visibility over what's happening in the skies above. They need functional radars and stuff, and it all takes money.
The board chairman, George Isaac Amo, pledged to pursue the matter to its logical conclusion in order to raise funds for their modernization agenda.
That we are children of the same parent, of the government of Ghana. How do we, because under the act establishing GMET, we are to sue and be sued under our seal. There has been agitations among staff. A lot of talking has been going on. But the contention is, how long can we sustain it? When they read other news articles about some of these other state agencies doing certain things, and what they could also have done if they were to have their wherewithal is not inflowing, becomes very disturbing.
Due to the lack of funds for its smooth operations and failing to pay renewal fees, external auditors have suspended the International Standard Organization certification of Ghana Meteorological Agency.
The Minister for Communications and Digitalization, Esla Osuekufo, has urged the newly reconstituted board of the Ghana Post Limited to strive to be the courier of choice for delivery services in Ghana. According to her, the delivery and logistics service sector has become a critical point with huge potential, hence the need for Ghana Post to take advantage of these opportunities. She gave the charge after swearing in the newly reconstituted board of the Ghana Post Company.
Ghana Post has been transformed and continues to compete favorably in the postal and courier industry, both internally and externally, due to the hard work and contribution of board management and staff in the past 5 years. So you can give yourself a little pat on the back for good work done. But that doesn't mean you should go to sleep. Over the past 5 years as well, you've shown the potential that you have to become a leader in the courier and logistics services space in this country, and to provide other job opportunities as well to our young people.
Well, the chairman of the 7-member board, George Afeti Hayford, expressed confidence that the new board will do more to make the company profitable.
It's now coming to fruition. So we took all these things into account. The economy needs competition anyway, but we have to make sure that we are ahead of the competition. And that's what we are aiming to do. That's what we're doing, and that's what we're still going to continue doing.
She also spoke about network connectivity. I mean, turning some of your old post offices into e-services and all that. Moving forward, what are we going to say from you guys?
We started with that, and we have about 350 post offices around the country. And it's not easy getting them all connected, since we're doing it in phases. So we've done a few, we're moving forward on it, and I think within the next 2 or 3 years we should be able to cover the rest. So,
when you say the rest, how many are we talking about here?
About 200 post offices.
Let's revisit the Ghana Meteorological Agency issue, because their workers will from tomorrow disengage from all services provided to the public and specific institutions, including the Civil Aviation Authority. They will not provide services to farmers, fishermen, road contractors, insurance companies, The list goes on, but the airports are likely to be hardest hit with possibility of a shutdown. The workers are unhappy about poor conditions of service, which they say has not been addressed despite many engagement with government over the situation. Meanwhile, weather statement intercepted by Joy News indicates a series of localized thunderstorms and rain are expected in the Eastern Volta and other parts of the Greater Accra region from tonight. Papa Nick Clegg is chairman of GMET Division of the Public Service Workers Union of TUC, and he joins us on the phone lines for more on this one. We're grateful that you can help us, on this particular issue. Why do you decide to stage a strike at such a critical time when clouds are gathering and your services are much needed? Yes, you're loud and clear. Grateful that you could join us on the program. Of course, you are embarking on this nationwide strike at a critical time when clouds are gathering and your services to the public and other state agencies are quite needed. Help us understand the timing behind your move. I'm afraid we'd have to work the phone lines to get in touch with him. But as we have been stating, workers of GMET will be embarking on a nationwide strike effective tomorrow as the side issues regarding poor conditions of service and remuneration for the workers. We'll try and get him back on the line. If you could hear me this time round, we're asking what informed the timeliness of your nationwide strike action, especially when clouds are currently gathering and your service to the public sector, including the Airport Company Limited, is very much needed. Well, I'm afraid we have lost him there, but we shall keep an eye on this story to give you updates as and when we do get in touch with them. But that's all for business. The bulletin continues.
Hello, good evening and welcome to the first part of the sports segment here with me, Reku Ampofo. Now, chairman of the local organizing committee of the 2023 African Games, Dr. Kweku Ofosu-Asare, believes Ghana will meet hosting deadline for the continent's biggest multi-sport event. He was speaking after his team toured the various facilities for the games here in Accra.
I mean, we have some of the facilities springing up at Boteman, and then we also doing we are upgrading some of the facilities at Legon. Accra Sports Stadium, as Candy said, is ready. We went to the hockey pitch, is also ready. So government is committed. The president, His Excellency Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, is extremely committed to this project. Ghanaians are looking forward to it. The government is also committed. Being our first time, we are all committed to getting this project done, and we hope that by the deadline, it's not 1 year. We have a bit more than 1 year, so it's going to, yes, so roughly 18 or 17 months. So we're hoping that we'll be able to. The contractors have been told to try as much as possible to meet the deadlines, and we are hoping and praying that all will be well. We will do our bit, and we will ensure that all the stakeholders will do our bit. The LOC at our level will do our bit. Government will do its bit, contractors will do their bit, and at the end of it all, we are hoping to have a good tournament.
Well, I have just two questions, Doug.
I thought you said one.
The first one, I mean, it seems most of the facilities, they will finish earlier.
Let's begin our build-up to this Sunday's super clash between Heart of Oak and Asante Kotoko, which will take place at the Accra Sports Stadium. Now, ahead of this big game, Joy Sports' Lawrence Beidou has been taking a look at the impact of the Cameroonian impact that the duo of Frank Etuga Mbella and George Nfege have been having at Asante Kotoko.
With 2 weeks to go until the start of the 2021-2022 Ghana Premier League season, Asante Kotoko confirmed the signing of Cameroonian forwards Frank Mbella Etuga and Georges Nfege. Despite finishing as part of the top 5 top scorers in Cameroon's Elite 1 League the season before, there were little doubt about the impact the duo were going to make in Ghana's top flight, especially for a club as huge as Kotoko. Until the match day 4 fixture against 11 Wonders, neither of the two had tasted any minutes in the Premier League despite being on the club's pre-season tour in Dubai. Nfege made his debut against Wonders, while Etuga's first appearance came a week later against Karela United on November 28. 3 months after their debut, the duo seemed to be the drivers for Kotoko's chase for a 25th league title and the club's first since the 2013-2014 campaign. Prosper Ogumnathe's men have scored 26 goals this term, and the Cameroonian internationals have accounted for 57.7 of those goals. Etuga and Nfege have a total of 15 goals between them since they opened their scoring account in Ghana's top flight. While Mfege has 4 goals, Etuga has an impressive 11 to his name. The latter has reached that figure in just 10 starts for the club. They may be Lions, but during a period where the indomitable Lions needed men to step up and deliver for them in a quest for a 6th Africa Cup of Nations title, the pair were making headlines in the Premier League as Porcupines. It is also worth knowing that Ole Dixon Afakwa has scored for the Porcupine Warriors in the top flight aside Etuga or Mfege in their last 6 games. During that run, the Kumasi-based side have scored 10 goals with the Cameroonian imports accounting for 9 of them. Etuga's hat-trick on Saturday against Accra Lions makes him the first Kotoko player since Opoku Efriye in 1975 to score more than 1 hat-trick in a single season in the GPL era. With the kind of performances being displayed by these two week in week out, they look certain to give Kotoko another league title, while Etuga will be looking to become the first foreigner to win the Ghana Premier League Top Scorer award. However, the next task up for them is a game against Accra Hearts of Oak on Sunday in the Super Clash.
Well, that's how we wrap up the sports segment here. I'll be back in the next hour. But if you do want some more sports stories, you can follow us on social media, on Twitter @JoySportsGH, or check our website, myjoyonline.com/sports. My name is Oreku Ampofo.
And thanks for staying with us. Time now to check out what's happening in the world of entertainment. Becky.
Hello to you, Blizzard. How are you doing? You're blessed.
Blessed, yes.
I'm blessed.
That's the perfect definition of this week and of the day as well.
Praise the Lord.
I'm very much excited that you'll be updating us on what's happening in the world of entertainment.
You know, I would have asked you to pray for us, but I mean, we have just a few minutes to go. So I'll tell you about Kelvin Boy. You know about Kelvin Boy?
It's been a while, you know.
Well,
he's been off the radar.
But he's back with a new song that he's promoting. Great. So he's been doing media rounds. So on Daybreak Hits this morning, he's been talking about cannabis, weed. So when you listen to, when you're a fan of Kelvin Boy, you know that all the time he mentions, you know, he uses, you know, all the time,
so
mostly.
Almost always suggesting.
Yeah. Right. So Andy asked him, why do you smoke? Yeah. Why are you always, you know, mentioning weed in your songs? And here is a response to that.
I vote for you down flat. I vote for you down flat. You, whoa. Now who know you bad?
That you've been consistently mentioning cannabis in songs. Cannabis. Your promotion and your mentions of cannabis and weed is getting too consistent. It's becoming too much. Why?
It's market, right?
So you are marketing cannabis?
Yes, a lot of people. I got to realize there are a lot of like Rasta people or ghetto people, that street people that like my vibe. They love that thing.
Okay. So immediately cannabis came now. It started free mind.
So like, okay, to make them like you get me, feel comfortable. We think about you guys and we make the song. So. Yeah.
Well, what makes you think that we all love cannabis?
Because the guy that sang Ashao, no be Ashao.
Who said?
Baby shawale, shawale.
But who said he no be Ashao? Have you tried
do
it?
You know?
That's what I'm asking.
No.
So don't say it.
But
so that okay, so it means you are singing cannabis, but you don't like cannabis. Is that what you're saying?
I'm trying to say ninja man no be ninja. You get me? Maybe killer. Okay, maybe. But I mean, you get me? It be how it's supposed to.
Do you use cannabis?
Is it?
Do you use cannabis?
No.
You don't use cannabis?
No. I swear you bad. I swear you bad, you. See, no,
that's the new one coming from, and he was doing that live in the studio. I really enjoyed
I think IGP Dampari has to, you know, just come for the listening section. At least.
You won't do anything. We beg you, please. Wherever you are, IGP, we beg you.
Right.
Let's talk.
Well, and you're welcome back. Now, fuel prices are up yet again, with some oil marketing companies selling products at nearly Ghana cedis. Total Oil, for instance, has oil products currently selling at 7.990. Gull and Shell are yet to adjust their prices. Currently, cumulatively, this will mean more than a 1 cedi increment in the price of products in just 2022 here in Accra. We have been speaking to some motorists who express disquiet about the current price trends.
Affect me because you see, day in and out, they increase fuel. I don't know what is happening in this our Ghana. Day in and out, they increase fuel. I don't know. So it definitely it's like it affects me a lot. Okay, so in terms of transportation problem and all that. Today, this morning that I had a free car, so I didn't feel it too much for today. But when I'm going back, BAMS I have to take car, and these things are increased. He has to immediately, because it's too much. It's too much. So that is it. Yeah. All right.
Because the passengers will talk. If you charge them, they will talk. Because the fuel prices is too going far this time around. Every week they are increasing the fuel prices, so we can't get money to save and to do some things. So it affects us other ways. Reduce the fuel price for us because it will affect us every other ways. It will affect us every week. They increase the fuel, so it's not good for do that.
Every day they continue to increase these fuel prices. And this morning when I came, see how I've bought a fuel like 500, but it's not full out to the extent that I used to buy fuel. So I don't know what to do, and we don't know. Even everybody is complaining. Everybody is complaining. Even our boss too are complaining about this fuel matter. So we don't know what we want to do so that the government. So we are trying to plead to the government. It should make something about it so that we can see that everything. It's actually giving us a lot of problem because my budget has become higher. The increment, because of the increment, so it has become higher, and I can't do anything about that.
Oh, this time if you go work, you don't get anything because of fuel increment. You work, you take your money buy for all money you take buy for. You don't get anything to do anything.
Well, in Kumasi, the situation is no different. Drivers are threatening to increase their fares.
It affects my pocket, and then it affects my family as well, my budget. If I'm to use 200 cedis as my budget for the month, it is going to affect me like 250 or possibly 300. And then one other thing is you wouldn't be aware so that you plan. You just wake up, you see that the fuel has been just shoot up. Because once we are not the sole producer of the fuel, I think they should put things in place and then we should be informed that this is what's going to happen so that we also plan towards it.
Seriously, the way the fuel is moving on, it is affecting us seriously. Even sometimes if you didn't work hard, how to get your sales is a problem. So we are pleading to the government to do something for us. The last time when I bought 50 cedis, I see some change, but now when you bought 50 cedis, in fact, it's very bad.
But nowadays, I talk about 1.7 now. I think it's yeah, and I was a higher my management is nowadays my class like I used to do in previous. And one manager, I went to manage my share fee.
First, me top petrol 2 gallons. I meet the air for the whole week. But I say, yes, can one day me talk rana and drew 2 weeks in the week rent me for me. Say, see how to anasa.
Well, up north in Tamale residents say the cost of living is becoming unbearable. Justice Beidou has been interacting with motorists in Tamale.
Every day I use fuel
and then the consistent increment of the fuel, especially from last year December till now, has a lot of effects on our lives, especially so that we have so many families to take care of, and the economic hardship in the country too. We don't generate a lot, and we have to spend a lot, especially on fuel. Even those who do not even use motorbikes or cars are suffering because of the increment, because it has a ripple effect on everything in the market. Market women, if you are going to buy something now, it has increased because people complain that transport fares are going up and all those things. So it has affected almost everything in the market. And since we go to the market to buy things, we go to pay school fees, and then we still buy fuel, we suffer it double. And so I think something must be done to bring down the cost of the fuel so that it will be affordable to the average Ghanaian citizen.
I use fuel every day because I have my own motorbike that I use to go to work and to go to farm. So I use fuel every day, anytime. And of late, the fuel prices or increment have affected my budget in going to my workplace or farming, because I also use my motorbike to if you like, convey my food stuff from farm, and it's become very difficult for me to do so in a long period because of the increment of fuel prices. Right now, if I buy fuel 10 cedi, I can use it 2 days. From my place, from Nanton to Tamale, it can send me back to Nanton. I used to buy 5 cedi, 7 cedi from Nanton to Tamale, and I'll go back. But now if I buy 10 cedi, from Nanton to Tamale, I can go back. From Nanton, my home place, to my farm, I can't survive on that. So it has really affected my business, my work, and how I can continue to be in the farming business. Because these days, we farm very far. To get arable land to farm, you have to go far. So when you go far, you need a motorbike or something that can help you to be able to get to the farm early. So it has been very difficult.
Well, brace up because you will be soon paying more as transport fares because the public relations officer of GPRTU, Imoro Abba, says they are scheduled to meet the government next week to negotiate transport fares adjustment. He spoke earlier on Newsdesk.
Up for 30% increment, and finally we were down to 20. Government was stick to 10%, of which we asked for postponement. Fortunately for us, there has been another upward prices at the pumps. So next week we are going back. It is good. All these things are happening. So I believe when we get back, we will get a very good price for our people. Don't forget that we think about our industry and think about the passengers as well. But this is just too much for us. It's just too much for us. We can't no longer bear the situation in which we are. Our industry is collapsing. It is our hope and belief that we shall get a very good bargaining percentage for our people.
So this will result in increase in fares, right?
Yes, we have no choice. We were aware that we started by scrapping out of some of the taxes and margins. The government was not prepared to do that for us. We have no option than to come out with upward adjustment in lorry fares, of which we are negotiating now. We have to meet them and present what transpire at the negotiating table before going back. Unfortunately, for us, we have experienced another upward adjustment, which has reinforced our argument. So we strongly believe we shall get very good bargaining power back to our people.
Meanwhile, the Executive Director for COPET, Duncan Amoah, is predicting a further hike in price by the 1st of March 2020. Speaking on the News Desk program, Duncan Amoah said that those who are to take the key decisions to curtail the plight of the ordinary Ghanaians are indifferent.
That the finance minister ought to sit up and do a lot better than he's doing. The fuel price increases. You would find the commercial transport operators complaining I heard yourself say now you are even scared to go to buy fuel because of the numbers that we are registering by the day. But you know, the one to be hardest hit by eventually, it will be the government itself. Perhaps it takes time for them to realize this. But if you want the single largest consumer within the economy,
right,
it is the government itself. To operate office of government machinery, to operate the very large ministries that we have, the departments, agencies, to operate the judiciary, as well as the legislature and all other places that will probably need to support with fuel for their functioning or functionality. You could understand that if these V8 were probably paying 500 million Ghana cedis for the year,
right,
because fuel was 5 cedis a liter. Today that we are almost at 8, the government would need to spend at least 800. If assumptions were to be equal, it means that it will cost the government overall much more. Again, government contracts, projects, and businesses,
right,
would all go up simply because we have now become, how do you call it, spectators. Those within the policy space, that should be contemplated.
Well, there's more on this story because Member of Parliament for Bongo, Edward Bauer, says government needs to take a second look at certain tax components in the price buildup.
I've always believed that there are some taxes that could be taken out. And even if you take them out, they will not have an effect on the services they are supposed to fund.
Right.
We have given the example of one. Let's even use the SPT, that's the Special Petroleum Tax. I have always argued that the basis for which the Special Petroleum Tax was introduced into the price buildup those reasons are not tenable today. They are not tenable today because the basis for which that tax handle was introduced was the fact that we had first low production, crude production, right, because we had a challenge with the FPSO Kwame Nkrumah. We had, prices of the international market, crude prices in the international market collapsing to as low as $30 per barrel. So because of these two things, these two factors, low production and then the low prices. Right. So our petroleum revenues that were captured in the budget of 2015 there was going to be a shortfall on that. Right. So to put up a block, to take care of that, then the SPT, that's the Special Petroleum Tax, was introduced. The question I ask myself today is the fact that now we do not have low prices. Now we are hovering around, look, our benchmark revenue that we put in the budget was $62 per barrel. Now we are doing around 90, so already there's a windfall in that. Two, we are not producing like 70 barrels per day. We are producing almost 200,000 barrels per day. So if you have these two factors, it doesn't make sense to still keep this SPT in this price builder. Right. And the SPT alone is 46 pesos on almost a cedi on the price builder. So if you were to expunge this, you know that the effect it will have on the on the price.
Well, so we've been attempting to trace this whole price issue with regard to fuel for you. Isaac Ofieje is with our research desk, and he's been tracking the average prices of fuel since 2015. Tell us about this and what we
just as you rightly said, we did some digging from 2015 to this year. We are looking at the trend. So in 2015, we're doing, fuel price. The blue is diesel and the red is petrol. So as of 2015, diesel was selling 2 cedis 77 pesos and petrol was selling at 2 cedis 64 pesos. Now you can see the rise. Now in 2020, there was a decline, probably because of COVID. We're selling petrol at 4 cedis 74 pesos at the same price.
But before 2020, we had the figures somewhere at 5.35.
Exactly, that is 2019. Right. So that was actually the real figure. Okay. Where we had diesel selling 5 cedis 35 pesos and petrol also selling 5 cedis 35 pesos. Now, fast forward from 2019 to 2020, which is this year, the last time we did the calculation, the average price on the markets, we selected some of the OMCs, diesel was doing 7 cedis 26 pesos and petrol the same 7 cedis to 26 pesos. Now that's, you know,
and for 2021 and 2022, it appears that diesel and then petrol had the same price index, you know, as compared to what's happening in 2022 as well. And if you look at 2020, the trend has been the same. So what's accounting for that as well?
So if you look at from 2020 to 2022, which is this year, if you do the percentage change, that will be around, you know, somewhere more than 50%.
50%, right. Just between 2020 and 20.
So the next slide talks about, you know, Duncan talked about the price build-up and the number of taxes on it. So we counted 12 taxes and margins actually on the price build-up. You know, and if you calculate them, if you do a quick math, that will amount to 2 cedis, 65 pesos. That's a 12 tax.
And what's staggering about this is that we have about 13, right? 13 different components, about 12 different components.
So the next slide actually separates
price build-up.
It separates the margin from the tax. So this is actually the tax component.
This is the tax component.
So energy, debt recovery levy, road fund levy, and all amounting to 1 cedis, 88 pesos. Now you remember that the 16, so let's look at how much we're paying as taxes and margins as
starting from
2018 to this year. So we are looking at how much you pay as levies and margins per litre of fuel. So as of 2018, we're paying 1 cedi 97 pesos, and it rose to 2 cedis 39 pesos. This rose again to 2 cedi 40 pesos in 2020, and this year we are paying 2 cedis 65 pesos.
Marginal increase.
Exactly. But if you compare it from what
all the way from 2018, that's a significant jump.
Very significant,
right? In less than 5 years.
So remember the 16 driver unions, right? They were telling government to scrap these 5, you know, tax components. So the energy sector recovery levy, sanitation and pollution levy, energy debt recovery levy. And now, if they're saying if government is able to scrap these 5 taxes, let's look at what happens. If government is able to do that, the total 5 taxes will amount to 1 cedi 73 pesos. Now, the last time we did the calculation, the average fuel price on the market was 7 cedis 26 pesos.
So we are doing the deduction now.
Yeah, if you do the deduction, that will bring us to somewhere
5 cedis 53 pesos. So are we then suggesting that the solution to this is that we take away some charges?
It could be one of the solutions, yeah.
Just one of them.
As the assistant driver unions are saying that, you know, you should. Now, you remember that as of 17th January, it threatened to increase the price of the fare by 40%.
Yes.
And then they back down and they are saying now it's
they are sticking to 30%.
30%,
so that would imply that if, for instance, if you're paying a cedi for transport, you are now going to do 1 cedi 30 pesos. So that's the implication of what we're saying.
So the last slide will talk about the impacts. You know, usually when fuel prices go up, it affects, you know, vehicle owners and drivers. But when this comes down to, you know, increasing the transport fares, that is when the masses and price of goods and services go up. So the price of a Kenke, you know, we are doing the Joy Living Standard series, and then you realize that when this increase in fuel prices transcend to an increase in transport fares, then we are all going to feel the pinch, you know, at the moment.
So it has a ripple effect on the economy.
Exactly.
Isaac Kofi Ejays with our research desk, trying to track down the real effect of this increment in fuel prices for RAS. But we need to talk about this now. The intersex community in Ghana is asking Parliament to strike them out of the controversial anti-gay bill currently before the Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee. Now, according to the community, their conditions are biological rather than sexual and thus cannot be criminalized. Addressing the third public hearing of the Committee on the Bill, Director of Key Watch Ghana, Sean Ajay, demanded some clauses in the bill are inimical to the rights of the intersex community.
Of the International Convention on Civil and Political Rights. 2. The bill seeks to join us, intersex persons, to a group of sexual identities and orientations. And we are not happy about that because we are not a sexuality, we are a biological manifestation. Meaning being intersex is a natural manifestation of the body diversity in the human species and not a sexuality or a sexual orientation. This bill seeks to prohibit organizations such as ours, Key Watch Ghana and the intersex movement, from providing peer support of any kind to our members. This bill seeks to force surgeries and treatment on intersex persons, infants, and also enforce a culture of silence. Our recommendations. We recommend that this clause in the bill, the 1, 2, and 23, needs to be struck out because they clearly violate many fundamental human rights. The medicinal interventions in this bill seeks to normalize defilement of children, and I'll explain that. Now, when you look at the treatments for intersex persons, when they conduct the surgery for infants, there's something they have to do to make sure that the nucleus that it's used to change to either male and female, the same part of the human anatomy that can change into male and female. And it's easier to change it into female than male, which is obvious to all of us here. Now, when you are able to successfully carry out this surgery, what the parents will be left with to do for their infant babies is to be dilating them to make sure that the opening remains open. Now, I say dilating, we are fathers here. I'm a father of 3. So I will not be ready to dilate my daughters every day to make sure that the vaginal opening, excuse me, Mr. Chairman, remains open. This is the clear medical procedure that is being done. So we see that it's a defilement of children and forces unnecessary treatment that contravenes several articles of the Committee on the Rights of Child. It must be thrown out immediately. The attempt by this bill to criminalize advocacy and free speech and association must be stopped and condemned. And then with the, my honorable legislator.
Well, Reverend Abraham Obeng-Amoako from the Assemblies of God Church, who presented a memo in support of the bill, argued that homosexuality and its practices threaten the survival of human existence, but however, cautioned the public against victimizing such persons. The Assemblies of God Church also charged government to make its position clear on the rights of homosexuals.
We'll first of all take a look at the We'll first of all take a look at the Creator's intention of human body. We believe that human beings do not exist on their own. We were created. At the heart of the transgender experience is gender incongruence, an internal sense of gender at odds with one's sex, birth sex. A common way to deal with that incongruence is to show a preference for one's internal sense of gender as representing one's true self over against one's body. Some people have argued in support of a range of expressions of transgenderism by saying that one's inner self, identified with the soul, should determine gender rather than the body. In other words, if someone with male genitalia has an internal sense of being female, then he should be properly understood as she. The body does not have a vote. A biblical theology of the body, however, argues for the essentiality of the body in determining our identity. Mr. Chairman, the desire on the part of many who suffer gender incongruence to find resolution by changing their body is a sign of the importance of the body to human identity. The scriptural witness of the sanctity of the body remains, regardless of the shifting cultural understanding of gender in modern society. A biblical theology of the body is helpful in developing a response to the issue of transgenderism that respects God's intention for and redemption of human beings. Genesis chapter 1 from the Holy Bible provides us with the record of God creating, blessing, and designating humanity as male and female, and no more, no less. Humans are created.
Well, Interfaith Diversity Network of West Africa is asking Parliament to outrightly reject the bill. They claim if passed, it will promote mob actions against homosexuals.
anything worth defending, Mr. Chairman, it is the gender diversity and sexual diversity. That is the real value that we must work together to defend. Many family members believe that their children are a blessing from God. African culture values love and connection. We used to hold hands. We used to walk hand in hand together. Families and friends now think twice, especially male persons now think twice before they can hold the hands of their brother to walk on the street. Why? Because that will simply means you are labeled gay or homosexual. We are people of connection. This bill seeks to impose a narrow vision of family and of gender connection that is neither African nor Ghanaian, nor universally recognized by Christians, nor Muslim. It is a vision that came to us, this ideology of conservativeness, it came to us during the colonial era. And conservative Christians have decided to embrace that pattern of belief. Perhaps it is God's vision, and perhaps it is not. But is this the position of Parliament to decide what is actually God's vision and what is actually not God's vision? I don't think it's fair to put Parliament in this type of situation.
And thanks for staying with us here on Joy News Prime. When we return, we'll bring you some business stories.
Cyclical policy, including the strategic stock of address to address the rising fuel prices on the market. According to him, adequate petroleum stocks in times of low price of crude oil, plus other tactical policies, will keep fuel prices and transport fares low.
When the ESLA was passed, one of the things we did, and I think it was covered in graphic recently, was, to take the money that was earmarked in the ESLA, not the entire amount, for payment of subsidy, and to start, what we call the strategic stock, policy, which many countries implement. And the strategic stock policy is a counter-cyclical policy. When we say counter-cyclical, it means certain things move in cycles, right? So you have commodity prices going up, up, then it goes down, right? Then as if in the pendulum it keeps swinging, and then it goes up again. So you are in this circle, which if you do not do anything about, it gives you the expression vicious circle, right? So we thought that subsidy only was not the answer. And so what did other countries and other institutions do or recommend? And we started a strategic stock, which I must say was behind the creation of BOS, bulk oil storage, right? To store bulk oil, you can look at it in terms of we have now become, an oil-producing country. Can we store the oil, and wait for prices when the prices are low, and then sell to make some money? Or in terms of the consumption, which you are talking about, can we stock crude when the prices are low, and then sell, when the prices increase? And we did start it, and I must say that it is one of the policies that help us to stop petrol queues. Right, and it's also one of the policies that help us to liberalize. Remember, we announced a liberalization in 2015, 2016, and still be able, to manage the price at the pump. And what do? You do just what other countries that with strategic stocks do. When the crude you bought when the prices were low, you release as the price starts going up. Remember, you bought them low. So if you bought them at, say, $35 per barrel, right, and prices are going up and it hits 55, and you know that if it hits 60, it will start, people will start feeling the pinch. That is adjustments taking place. Then what do? You release at 53, 55.
A World Bank report indicates that Ghana accumulated significant government arrears prior to COVID-19. This is far higher than the projected arrears post-COVID. Charles Nixon-Yeboah has more in this report.
The report, dubbed Finance for an Equitable Recovery, indicates that
the percentage of the country's arrears was estimated at almost 5% of the size of the economy. This ranked the nation 16th in sub-Saharan Africa with the highest government arrears. It confirms concerns by some economists and analysts that the country's fiscal situation was deteriorating prior to COVID-19. This was heightened by the rising debt. The report, however, urged governments, including Ghana, to mobilize new revenue to pay off debt incurred for the crisis response and preserve the ability to support the COVID-19 recovery, adding the potential return to economic growth during the recovery will help. It also called for continued access to credit for households and businesses, saying many households and businesses are at acute risk of losing access to formal credit as a result of the COVID-19 crisis. Additionally, such a loss could dampen the recovery.
Meanwhile, a senior economist with the World Bank in Ghana, Aurelian Cruz, has been speaking about the contributions the organization is making to deepen Ghana's economic growth amid the pandemic.
At the same time, it's worth noting that we are not still back to the pre-COVID situation either. And that has both negative sides and positive sides. On the negative side, I think it's worth flagging that not all firms are recovering in the same way. There remains a group of firms that is still reporting much lower sales compared to before the pandemic. And second, many firms still report shortages in supplies, especially those that participate in global value chains, which is worrisome. Addressing these issues, therefore, is a very important challenge, not only for the government, but for the development partners and us all as well. But there's also a positive side, which I would like to highlight. And this is, in my view, what we're observing, namely the increased reliance on digital technologies and mobile money. In other words, firms are adopting and have, as a result of the pandemic, accelerated their use of new technologies that we think will allow them to operate more efficiently and more productively in the future. In fact, our recent country economic memorandum, which we titled Ghana Rising, identified the ability of firms to adopt new technologies as a very crucial component for spurring growth going forward. I'd like to now say a few words on what the World Bank is doing in partnership with the government of Ghana to mitigate the negative impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic and leverage also some of the positive transformations that the crisis may have catalyzed. The bank has approved a $250 million loan to boost access to finance for enterprises to the Ghana Development Finance Project, and some $315 million in funding for projects supporting digitalization, jobs, and skills. This is on top of already existing efforts by the World Bank to provide emergency preparedness and response funding and IFC investments in them. Broadly, the World Bank uses the private sector development is key to sustaining economic growth and creating jobs for Ghana's youth. The Ghana Economic Transformation Project, financed through a $200 million loan, seeks to do precisely that, to promote private sector development and firm growth in non-resource based.
Now, a senior economist and project manager for Monitoring and Analyzing Food and Agricultural Policies Program, Christian Delagen, says that the over-reliance on cocoa is risky to the future of Ghana's agri sector, hence the need for the country to diversify the industry. There is more in this report by Beverly Brom.
Makes about 60% of Ghana's agricultural industry, an indication that there is over-reliance on the commodity to the detriment of other crops. Recently, a report by Reuters suggested that Ghana's graded and sealed cocoa arrivals have dropped by 42%. Christian Delagen, senior economist, believes that the future of Ghana's agricultural industry is in danger if the country fails to vary the sector.
What is definitely very important for the future of Ghana's agricultural sector is that it diversifies its agriculture, and I think this is not this message is not new, but it's the over reliance on cocoa is risky, and therefore it's very important that the government invests in diversifying the agricultural sector, diversifying exports, incentivizing the production of different products, whether those are horticultural products in fruits and vegetables, or whether it is also whether it's investing in grains and higher productivity in grains. This is all very important for the future of the agricultural sector.
Christian added that the MAFA program is implemented by the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations to support the process of agricultural transformation.
We're focusing both on crops and livestock. And really the objective of the program is to drive the transformation of agriculture by helping the government to make evidence-based policy and investment decisions. And why is that important? Because in the end, farmers and agribusinesses are the ones who are investing the most in agriculture, who are investing the most in their own future and in Ghana's future. But to make sure that they are supported, that they make the right investment decisions, that they maintain trust in agricultural growth, it is very important that they are supported by an enabling environment.
Monitoring and analyzing food and agricultural policies, MAFA program has 8 main partners in sub-Saharan Africa. In Ghana, the program began in 2021 and is expected to end in 2026.
And that'll be all for business, but we'll leave you with international business news as well, which we have sports coming up. Do stay with us.
Hello, good evening and welcome to the second part of the sports segment. Here with me, Oreku Ampofo, a ranking member of the Parliamentary Select Committee on Sports. Kobina Mensah Woyome says the committee investigating the Black Stars' poor performance at their just ended AFCON is not a witch-hunting group, but one determined to find the failings of the team and then offer solutions.
Parliament as an institution has an oversight responsibility, and we are just doing that. We are not carrying this out also with special budgetary allocation where we'll be taking so much from the taxpayers' money for special purpose such as this. It is a day-to-day work of Parliament, and we are just doing what we are asked or mandated to do. And so we think the talks out there is not to go play other propaganda so that we lose the particular focus for which we are here. What we are looking for, as Riley said, is to look out for what went wrong without going after anybody. And we are also minded that not too long from now, we are supposed to play a crucial game. A game that will enable us to participate in the World Cup, Qatar. And so we will want that cohesion, togetherness, and the spirit of the nation behind our Black Stars, who I believe may be preparing one way or the other towards that very important game. We have that in mind. And I can assure you, we will do what we are asked to do and submit reports to the plenary. And I'm sure at that stage, Mr. Speaker will direct subsequent what he deems fit.
Accra Heart of Oak and Kumasi Asante Kotoko will fan the flames of their ageless rivalry at the Accra Sports Stadium this Sunday. The Phobians are 8th on the Ghana Premier League table, 12 points behind their sworn rivals and leaders, Asante Kotoko. But chairman of Chapter 27, Ntamale Collins Kwesi Entry, believes Heart of Oak would end up beating Kotoko for 3 points on Sunday.
I think that we have put in the necessary measures in place to clinch that 3 points. We are not under pressure. You saw how the boys played. They did their best. Unfortunately, we couldn't take our chances in the first half. And the poor decision by referee Richmond Entry also cost us. If not, during the second half, even with 10 men, you saw how we played. You understand? And between us and Kotoko, it's a different ball game. I hope you're getting it. Yes. And we think that we have put in the necessary measures in place, notwithstanding the outcome of the results here. Yeah. I hope you're getting it. So there's no pressure on us. The coach is here with us. We have spoken to him. We have made it very clear to him that he should relax. The boys did very well. You were there. And the same boys will do the job for us on Sunday. It's unfortunate that Kali will not be here. There on Sunday, and that's the only problem that I have. But you know the kind of qualities that we have in our team. At any point in time, we have a replacement for any position. You saw how Fatau was shifted from the right full back and to center of the defense. You saw how he played. So at any point in time, we have perfect replacement for our positions.
So there are no problems at all. You are winning. What's your prediction?
I think that at least a 2-1 or 1-0 will do for us.
Or Heart of Oak and Kotoko meet on Sunday, and if you do visit my Joe online, you can see some preview pieces. One here on George Mfegre and then Frank Mbella, and then another one on Frank Mbella as well, breaking down his 11 goals. He's currently the top scorer in the Ghana Premier League, and you can read some more stories on myjoyonline/sports, or you can head to our social media platform on Twitter at JoySportsGH. My name is Uriku.
And that's all time will allow us here on the Joy News channel, Joy News Prime as well. Don't forget to log on to myjoyonline.com. That's our hub for all of the updates on our running stories. My name is Blair Sugandu. Enjoy the rest of the evening.